Hello everyone, I'm Doodlemanz86 and today I'm going to review the Hedorah 50th Anniversary Special Set. It's a set of Hedorah's forms to celebrate the 50th anniversary. No accessories unless you want to count the other forms, and yeah, let's just get started with this and see if it's worth the $200 price point. So we have to start out with the box, of course. And here is the box with Hedorah's eye being covered. So, as you can see, the little Hedorah 50th little sticker, if you will. And I love Hedorah's print here. If it's a different texture from the rest of the box, which is cool. You have the little swirling effect, and I like that the whole box is red and black. It makes it look like pollution and very nasty. I think that fits the theme of Hedorah's character. And then there's the side, top. The other side, which has him in all gray, interestingly enough, and then you have some promo pics on the back, and that right there is the box for you. As always in my Monsterarts reviews, I'm going to start out with the articulation of the main guy himself, and since this has several forms in it, first off I'm going to review him, then the other two forms on their own, so that's the way I'm going to go about this video today. And as a character with such a weird design, it's interesting that they actually made this guy highly articulated. So with characters like Hedorah here, I always wonder what it would be like to be tackled in a highly articulated figure form, and seeing it is just really interesting and fantastic that they actually engineered the articulation very well for a character who looks so muddy, and I mean, he's literally a turd. So yeah, let's just start out with the head and then we'll move on to the tail. So since he has all these sludge effects, some of them, and there's plates for these, do move. So we have this big one on the back, which is on a ball joint connected to the back of the head, and we have, I don't know if you can see it here, but this piece is connected to this piece, which is also on a ball joint. So they mainly they go up and down, open and close, but they are on a ball joint, as you can see there. The actual head itself is on a ball joint. As you can see, he looks up about this far and down all right, to the left and to the right, and his head goes all the way, pretty smooth swivel. So if you make him look up, the plates don't really move, but you have a slight gap here. But from the front, you won't even notice it, and it probably wouldn't even look bad since that's in character. And if you look down, you can move the plates as such. So for the shoulder joints, here we actually have a little plate on the left shoulder, which slightly moves, and they are bendy, by the way. So there's that. There isn't one on this side though. So the shoulder is on a ball joint, and then you have two arm joints here, one in the elbow, which is on a ball joint, and then the wrist, which is also on a ball joint. Pretty smooth, pretty nice. And then we get to the chest here, where we have a ball joint that looks pretty good left and right, goes up and down as such, still pretty good. Then we have these three plates here, which are on a ball joint, but they mainly just go forward and back to let the legs move. So there's that. Then the hips are on a ball joint. The knee is also on a ball joint, if you can see that. And then the ankle is also on a ball joint. So there we go, the turd feet. And then we have the tail, which is 6 segments, which are also on ball joints. They are pretty nice, and I like doing this pose with them. You know, it kind of makes it look Hedorah-ish. So for a character with such a weird design, I think the articulation is absolutely fantastic and is much more than he did in his own movie. So I applaud S.H. Monsterarts for this release. It's stellar articulation. So across all of these three, or technically 4 forms, they do have similar sculpts and paints, but I will compare them at the end to show you that they're not exactly the same. There are slight differences, and I do like those differences. But we'll start out with the main guy himself. So he's mainly this lightish pavement gray, some dark grays underneath. And as you can see, the sculpt is all sludgy and mud-like, all slimy like in the movie. And he has these gigantic cracks on the top of the head with some nasty green, which is also found on the underside of the arms. And then you have his beautiful eyes, which are shaped like well, if you know, you know. But yeah, they look absolutely beautiful. They're translucent red, and the pupils just look so cool. They're golden with that little shock-like look to them. They just look so bloodshot. It looks very nice. I really do like that. They just look so beautiful in person. Like, they look dark in some instances, but I feel like on camera you can see that they are pretty nice looking. So they're not as dark as I thought they were going to be. So I really do appreciate that. And then you can see at the front of the face here, there's like some glitter here, which thankfully doesn't get stuck on your fingers because I hate glitter. And you have dark grays here, a few reds on the front of the chest and face. And you can see here, when we get to the lower body, the legs, the arms, there's a like metallic shiny blue, which just it's so in line with the character. It really fits the sculpt here. And I think it really helps make Hedorah pop out, you know, all these different colors that look nasty. And then you have these shiny blues standing them out, the dark grays. It just looks so fantastic. And then when you get to the underarms, you do have like some lines and crevices, but that dark green, ogreish green, if you will. And I love the hands. Okay, well that flew off. As I was saying though, they do look really great, and I like how flat they look, like all the sludge on top, and then you get to the bottom, which is just flat. I like that look. Then you have all the slime and sludge, which goes down to the feet and forms toes, if you will, like a splatter effect. I think that looks really great as well. It's mainly black under here, but not like you're going to be looking at the figure from that angle when you're posing him anyway, so yeah. Then you have the back plates, which are really shiny and very metallic with more of that glitter, as you can see, as opposed to this big veiny sack on the back, which is black with the yellow and red patterns. They absolutely stand out amongst the figure's other dark colors, just like the metallic blues. So I think that looks very nice. And he has a lot of veins and crevices there, which just look great. You have more of that plating and sludge work. And then you get to the tail, which has a few faint blues and reds amongst it. And just like the arms, sludge on top, but flat on the bottom, which just looks great. This looks like a crab's tail too. I really like that look. So that was the sculpt and paint of Hedorah, and like I said before, complex looking character with absolutely beautiful work done here. You can really see the outline of Hedorah, I don't know who that is, but the outline of Hedorah looks absolutely great, and I think they did a wonderful job with the sculpt and paint of this guy. Then we move on to the flying form, which is accompanied by a stand here, as you can see, if you want to include that as an accessory. It has a little cradle here to fit Hedorah on top, so that's pretty cool. Moving on to Hedorah here, though, it's interesting to have a flying Hedorah figure, which this was basically the first of its kind before the movie Monster series came out, which I think is interesting to say the least. And you have those shiny eyes, which look even more gorgeous on this figure because they're so much bigger, much brighter. I think it just looks beautiful here. And there's a lot of bumps and bulges on this form as opposed to the other one. It has a lot of lines here, especially these fin-like protrusions at the end. A lot of skeletal work here. He just looks so cool like that. And when you flip him around, you get his tiny fat hands, which look interesting. And then you have a few plates here at the bottom and even more of that line work, which just really exemplifies how much of a more living creature he looks like, even with all this sludge on him. And yeah, very flat grays, a few light grays here at the front of the face and the top, and then it transitions into like more dark and black colors around the empty detailed fields. So I think that's nice, and you can see the texture here. It just looks very nice, very cool. I like this form. He's also pretty heavy, just like Hedorah, so I do like that it's not that light. Feels pretty good. And to put him on the stand, you can have him looking all the way up or normal. I find it easier to make him look up rather than be at a normal stance. I don't know why, it's just so much easier to do that. But yeah, that's Hedorah's flying form for you. We come to a much smaller flying swimming form, if you will, which also has its own stand. So, stands all around, guys. And you can see here the face and head sculpt are pretty good. He has all these bumps on the front of his face. It's very huge, very swollen, and his eyes are very tiny, but still look just like the other forms. Still look great. And then you have this body or like sludge, and you can see his little hands are sculpted there, all these little lines. You know, it looks pretty great, really dark color. The front of the face is a lot lighter, but you can take it off. Whoa. And then you can use this little sludge like plate and put them on top of it to create yet another form. And I'm putting it on wrong like an idiot. And yeah, there you go. You have Hedorah in a puddle of slime. And the slime itself is translucent like, and as you can see, it's a very nasty brown like green, very dark. Looks pretty cool. I really like this, although I do wish they would have just made these two separate Hedorahs instead of switching the head. But you know what? It's still really cool. I really do like this, and I do like the little sludge effect. It looks very nice and looks very cool. So now I bring to you the attention to detail I was talking about earlier between these three forms. So as you can see, the flying form is very flat looking, you know. The details aren't as eye-popping, even if they're there. Very flat grays, you know, not a lot going on with him, as opposed to these two who have a lot of metallic colors, very dark grays, light grays going all around. And as you can see, this Hedorah has the most color going on him, with the metallic blues, the reds, the dark grays, the greens, the yellows, etc. This one is very dark in color with a few lights on his face, and this guy's more like a street pavement gray. So I think the difference between these three is absolutely stunning, and I do like that they don't look the same. I guess that just makes it look outstandingly awesome in your collection, and I think that's very nice, especially when you consider that even the sludge is different from all four of these being a more brownish color. So yeah, I just wanted to show that off because I thought it was a pretty cool detail, and I just think it looks very nice for this set. Fits in line with the pollution message. So the fully grown Hedorah is 6.7 inches, the flying one is 6.9 inches, almost 7, and then the underwater one is 3 inches at most. And here's just a size comparison with a few other figure arts and a few other Monsterarts that you may have in your collection, and a few random figures you may also have. So I do have to say that this figure it is a little overpriced, I'll admit it. You could have thrown an I-beam in there, and I think it would have been justifiable putting it at the $200 price range. But the set does come with the few forms and the little sludge effect and the stand. And Hedorah they absolutely nailed him. You know, down to the details, the paint, and the articulation. He looks great, moves great, and is a must-have for all Godzilla figure collectors. I feel like there isn't a lot of show-off figures going on around, so to have Hedorah and his other forms, I think is really great. And I do have to say, the articulation is really good. I feel like for an action figure, that's the most important thing, and for a design as weird and as complicated as Hedorah, I think it just looks really great on him. Everything is done really well, and no gaps on him. That's just the icing on the cake. I think they really did good with this figure, especially for his 50th anniversary. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.